The streets of Cameroon today are jam-packed with unemployed graduates craving for opportunities to exercise the skills and knowledge gained during their academic journey. The question many keep asking is whether or not unemployment in Cameroon is as a result of lack of competence or as a result of lack of opportunities. Hello televiewers, good evening, and thank you for joining us on this edition of Issues this Friday evening, where we look at the world of unemployment. On today's edition of the program, we shall be discussing on some of those factors that contribute to lack of competence and lack of opportunities. Stay with us as we come back right after the break. Hello lovers of Divine Mercy Radio Television. Once again, good evening and thank you for joining us on Issues today, where we look at unemployment in Cameroon. Joining me today are two great minds. By my right, we have here Mr. Aya Abine, who is a great personality. He has been on board on couples of the program, and he has been sharing with us his wealth of knowledge. Today, he's going to tell us whether or not unemployment is as a result of lack of opportunities or lack of competence or lack of the two. Hello. Hi, Aya.
Thank you very much. Hello, Madam Mirabel. It's always a wonderful opportunity, to join you people so that together we can inspire some people out there. What it takes is just inspiration. Once it's coming from within, you are sure that what you get at the end will be something positive. So every chance you give us to come on TV like this, to meet amazing people to like Mr. Mbatebo, it's a wonderful, wonderful service you're giving for us, because the biggest service is to be able to give somebody the information that will lead to action, that will give them the benefits of wanting their life. So I'm
information that's going to lead to action, that will lead to the benefits that you want in your life.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I really look forward to what we can do together just to give people clarity. Once there's clarity, productivity cannot be a problem.
Once there is clarity, productivity can never be a problem. Thank you so much, Aya, for joining us on this edition of the program. And by my left, we are welcoming Mr. Mbatebo Lucas. Hello, Tebo.
Hello, Mirabel.
How are you doing today?
I'm okay. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on the program. Now, we have a great team. Let's begin the discussion. It is always important for us to begin by understanding the terms we are talking on during the course of the program, or what we shall be discussing on in the course of the program. And looking at the topic of discussion, we have opportunities, we also have unemployment, and we have lack of competence, or competences if you want to say that. So I'll begin by asking our guests on the program to tell us in their own words what these words stand for, so that we can continue on a good footing. Mr. Aya.
Okay, thank you very much. I was very happy when you said in their own words. Generally, I'm not very good with definitions. I'm not sure I'm a fan of definitions, because definitions have a way of limiting the learner.
Okay.
And you don't want to have any educational system or school system that limits people from expressing themselves. Mm-hmm. Once you do that, then you have destroyed what education means. So when you said in their own words, I was very happy. One time somebody asked me what was the definition of mindset, and I said the mindset is the way the mind is set. And everybody laughed. I didn't define word to the words, but I said sometimes it's just good to keep it simple.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, unemployment is simply when you don't have a job.
Yep.
But more importantly, when you are interested, then you don't have, because there are people who don't have jobs, but they are not interested, so they are not unemployed.
Okay.
There are people who decided to be stay-at-home parents, for example.
Yeah.
They are not unemployed because they've decided.
That's
so
the road they have chosen. Okay.
Exactly. So, but it's simply when you don't have a job. Okay. Unemployment.
As simple as that. That's unemployment. Now let us talk to Mbatebo. Unemployment is when you don't have a job. When you wish to have a job, but you don't have a job. So let us look at opportunities.
Once again, thank you. Good evening to you, televiewers. I think opportunities are the available openings for one to make ends meet.
Okay.
They are the whether it's at the level of being gainfully employed, that's working for somebody, or at the level of creating your own business and generating income.
Okay.
But all of these are opportunities. So opportunities are these available options which provide a platform for individuals to be gainfully employed in order to generate income to sustain themselves.
Okay, thank you for that. In his own words, that's what opportunity stands for. And let us also look at the term competence, Mr. Aya.
Okay, competence. Thank you. Of course, competence is having the ability to deliver. Simple. In terms of whether it's in terms of the qualification, academics, or it's in terms of the skills, or it's in terms of the knowledge, or it's in terms of the experience. But competence is just when we know that if you say, Madam Mirabe, please, can I get this by Friday? You have what it takes to deliver.
To deliver by
Friday.
Friday.
Can I see a prototype of this by Saturday? And you have what it takes to deliver. Again, within that space, there is so much that comes in there. And sometimes that's where our school and educational systems really struggle, because it's just the end product that we're interested in, but the process is usually where the real thing happens. So competence is just to be able to deliver, get the final result.
Well, thank you so much. In summary, what I think we are saying here is that lack of opportunities is, opportunity is the opening that someone craves for to be able to exercise maybe their skills and their competences. And a job or unemployment is when you don't have a job, when you don't have something doing that can put food on your table. That is unemployment. And we talked about competence, which is the ability to do something, to get something done at a given period of time, of course. All right, so having said that, let us look at how competence can play. What does competence contribute in on
unemployment?
Yeah, how does it contribute in this whole unemployment issue which we are talking about in Cameroon?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy you mentioned Cameroon, because it's important that when we're having this conversation, we should be able to put it in context.
In context, yeah.
And one of the things I always say is that Cameroon's unemployment can't really be talked about objectively enough if we don't look at some other factors. And so you permit me to just, as moderator, let's just expand the conversation a little bit. I don't know your plan. That's to say, I'm not an economist, so if I make some of those errors, the economists out there should crucify me.
You're forgiven already before the errors have been made.
It's better to be forgiven before. So, but we're at about 29.1 million, 29.3 million. World Bank and some other organizations have said that as a country. And the labor force is at about 11.57 million. A good portion of that. The age where you can work is 15 years plus. Some areas of research is 64, but somebody did not put, because again in Cameroon, a youth is from 70 upwards. Don't ask me how I know. And then unemployment in Cameroon currently is around 4. And it might interest you.
4%.
4%, sorry, 4%. Thank you very much, Mr. Thibault. It might interest you people to know that a country that has unemployment between 4 to 6% is not bad, actually. And so, because we're like, but what's the issue with Cameroon? That's why I said we cannot have this conversation without looking at a particular thing. We must be able to compare these few 29 million people and the resources that the nation carries. Because if not, we'll be looking at it now from a very close perspective, where we'll not be able to hold those accountable, in this conversation. You see, we might just be trying to solve a problem, but without really pinning. Now, why am I saying this? If you look at the population of Cameroon, and the resources we have, from oil to timber to the agricultural potential to the fact that we are coastal. Cameroon is coastal. Some countries would die to have that kind of, the minerals we have, from gold to nickel to bauxite to aluminium. Cameroon had one of the biggest aluminium processing factories, in all of Africa. that could produce better than Switzerland and Sweden. And so the question today is, why this level of unemployment? And so before I could get into the competence question which you asked, I wanted us to just look at that. And so I'll be looking at this competence aspect from two angles. The angle of the person looking for the job and the angle of the person who is supposed to provide the opportunity. And now, but I'll avoid talking about opportunity as such, but I'll talk about the competence of the person. That's why the competence issue in Cameroon comes both from the level of those in leadership and those who are supposed to get the job.
Okay, can you explain
some two angles? Yeah. That's to say, with all these natural resources that the country has, how come we get to that point where we are struggling this bad? Because like it or not, the energy out there is that there are no jobs. So that even if you tell someone that 4% to 6% is a good figure, it's a lie. Because if you go into the streets today, you get the maybe 5,000 that graduated just from a particular place in University of Boya this December. Before you go to the other schools and there are thousands, and then you ask us, so how many jobs are created per year? And you begin to shiver. You begin to shiver because where would they get the job? And so you see that there are no jobs. You see, compared to the resources that we have, everybody should be able to have jobs. But that's because, permit me to say, those in the leadership, 90-95% are super incompetent. And don't tell me that, don't give me figures. Let us see the results. Let us see that everybody in Cameroon is employed, or at least there should be 0.5%, because we have the resources. You see, if I not explain that part, somebody could be like, okay, but if you say 4 is not bad, so why are we holding our leaders accountable? No, we are holding them accountable because our potential is beyond what we have. And as Africans, as Cameroonians, we have to get to that point where we stop accepting les grenouilles, is that what they say in French? Grignoter the crumbs. We must stop accepting crumbs. We can't go for African Nations Cup and we mess up and then we defeat Brazil and we're happy. You see, we have to stop doing that. We can't go for something of a World Cup rather. We can't go for African Nations Cup, we are third and we are happy. And we say, well, look, continent and things like that. We must start looking at leadership because leadership, which people confuse for politics, is about me, it's about Mr. Tebo, it's about Madame Mirabel, saying that, okay, this is what my people deserve. And sometimes at the expense even of your life, like Martin Luther King, he said, I see the promised land. You see, and just think about the fact that one man, Martin Luther King, was capable of driving such a dream for blacks in America. Why can our leaders not do that? Because they're incompetent, because they are incapable of supervising, because they're incapable of monitoring. We've designed a system where everybody focusing on stealing. Once you can steal, right, and it goes down the different strata, you are fine. Nobody supervises. Now, from the other angle, now that's for the leaders.
Yeah, let us stay with the leaders of our country, because when you talk about the lack of competence of our leaders, and you also mentioned the fact that they are not capable of maybe supervising. Is it that they are not capable of supervising, or they are not willing to supervise?
Mr. Mate will start.
Oh, Tebo, you want to answer that? Is it that because coming from his point, he says they are not capable of supervising, which means that they know that they have to supervise, but they don't have that ability to supervise. Now, the question I'm asking is that, is it that they don't have the ability to supervise, or they are not willing to supervise?
I think it's both. Let's put it in context. I think we should understand that we are in a kleptocracy. We are in a system of governance where the few people who are in power have hijacked the state resources and are benefiting just themselves and their immediate family, and the rest of the people are suffering. I think when Abine pointed out our before I come to you, our employment statistics of 4 to 6%, we have to really put it in context. You know, this whole issue of employment rate and unemployment rate is calculated in terms of those who are between the age of which they are supposed to work and then they are actually gainfully employed, which means that if the age of work is between say 17 to 65, how many people are there who are actually working, who don't depend on some kind of government subvention for a living? Because in other countries, people who don't work, they depend on government aid per month, government subvention or some kind of allowance, unemployment allowance. And so you can easily, because there's nothing like you go and do menial jobs or small farming to survive. You don't have that, you die. So they can easily have accurate statistics of those who are not working because they'll be receiving their unemployment allowance on a monthly basis. But in our case, it's different. So it will be difficult for you to go anywhere in this country and find somebody who is in the working age group doing nothing. At least they'll have a small farm, they can go and work their plantain, and they have a small garden, they can do at 1 or 2. So we consider those people to be employed. But in the real sense of the word, they are poor people. Because the World Bank still says that most Cameroonians still live below a poverty line. And poverty line, the World Bank is $1 a day. So in other words, there are people, the statistics say that they are employed, but they are all poor employed people. They are suffering, they are living on less than 500 francs a day. And so they can barely afford 3 square meals, they can barely afford good health care, they can barely afford anything, good dressing, they can barely travel and so on. So in terms of the question you asked, whether our leaders lack the competence or they don't want to do, I think it's both. I think in a system of governance like ours, people are perpetually or deliberately kept poor. Corruption is used as a tool for the regime to survive, because without corruption, the regime cannot survive. Corruption allows those who are up to power to enrich themselves to the point where they see no reason why they should allow any other person to come in so that they can dismantle the system that will benefiting. So the selected few, or the privileged few, or the 1%ers, if you want to call it that way, who have clinged to power, don't want the system to disintegrate. They want to maintain the status quo for whatever reason it is. And that also breeds incompetence, because in this kind of system, competence is relegated at the footnote of everything they do. Why? Because people put in their family members, people put in their friends' children, concourse are written, people are not taking based on skills, they are taking based on who knows who, because it's a corrupt system. So you realize that it's a bit of both. It's a bit of they are incompetent people in the right positions, and they are doing havoc to the majority of Cameroonians.
So they're also wicked.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. I'll get back to Abine. I had to cut you short so that we have an understanding of what you talked about. Now let us move over to because we looked at those providing and those who are looking for. Now let us look at the other part of it.
This other part is the part which sometimes it hurts to talk about. It hurts to talk about because, again, sometimes when I say, or when you say these things, it might not really sound normal to the average mind. You see, Cameroon's leadership cannot be different from the majority of Cameroonians. What you see those representing us doing, they are just showing who we are, at least the majority of us.
It's a mirror reflection of
maybe
who we are.
You know, we have not just had the chance to be there. Now, why am I saying this? I'm convinced, years have been out there, more than 10 years plus now, that if every Cameroonian was purpose-driven, if every Cameroonian was preaching something, if every Cameroonian was going their direction, if every Cameroonian had somewhere that they were going to, our leadership cannot be like this. Or at least if the majority of the Cameroonians were going in a particular direction. But when we all, as Mr. Thibault was explaining very beautifully, are waiting for our chance to also profit from the national cake, then you have this kind of system. And that's why in what I do, one of the things which you almost always hear from my mouth is the exam mentality. The exam mentality. Because the exam mentality creates the cheating economy. Where the cheating economy is that work your way through. Find a way to get there, because it eliminates the process and it jumps to the product. That's why even for those who are willing, if there are few who are willing, they don't even have the competence to deliver. And you even say they're not willing. To me, they are just wicked people. And that's what happens when the leadership is made up who are not purpose-driven. Purpose-driven leaders means that, because a mango never creates mango fruits for itself. Never. Neither does guava. Neither does pear. It's always for the other person. Somebody who is purpose-driven, you live for other people. But people who are not purpose-driven, first of all, they struggle with their self-esteem. And those who struggle with self-esteem, trust me, they could be super dangerous. They will kill every other person to feel that they are worth something. Because if you are worth something, then that's where you know that I don't need to prove anything. So, but it comes back now also to what you have as a foundation, because Many of us might not know, but the way we think and the energy we emit has a way that it affects the balance of the universe. That's why there's no way, for example, that the devil, the enemy, can penetrate the human sphere without permission from human beings. That's why it's that what they've done today is that to distract these people who don't have any competence, even the young people, they don't have. You know, when you are lecturing, when you are taking a course, the students complain. And I told them that the issue is that you don't have the skills. It's not that we overload you. Something that could take 15-20 minutes to type, you are going to take 2 days. Because you take your hand like this from one button to the next, or you go and hand it to somebody in the documentation who already has so much to handle. It's because you don't have the skill. Secondly, you don't have the discipline to wake up early in the morning, sleep later, you see.
Just because you want to gain something.
Right? Just because, exactly. And that's where, again, competence goes with attitude. But now when you come to the young people, the exam mentality, that's, I don't know, I think this, they call it educational system, but it's just a school system. Because educational system is how you combine different subsystems to have a specific result. But what we've done is that we just have a school now. We just put you in the atmosphere that you are learning. But you go to that school and you learn, then you come into the real world and you cannot solve any problem. And so when you move from the exam mentality now, which creates a cheating economy, what it creates for you is people with the entitlement mindset. So this people entitlement mindset, they don't need to have a skill. They don't want to have a skill. Even when you try to teach them, they're not interested. You have coaching them and they're looking at you. And they're looking at you, they're not looking at you, listen to what you're saying. Those with the entitlement mindset, they move now and they get into bewitchment, no, enthronement, where they feel that once they are there, no other person should come there. So we have a serious lack of, a deep lack of competence with our young people. I'm talking about those going to school.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I look at it, you see a university student write and they're not even conscious. And sometimes you give them an exercise and you see what they write, oh, I'm very hardworking, I'm very focused. And then you turn around to look at the person. It means that there's even an ignorance. Dr. Miles Monroe said that the biggest enemy of man is not sin. That the biggest enemy of man is not the devil. That the biggest enemy of man is ignorance. And you know, when people talk about Hosea 4 verse 6, they don't often talk about the second part. They usually say my people perish because of lack of knowledge. But what they hardly say is that God now says that he will reject you if you don't have knowledge. And that you cannot be my priest, because you cannot represent me if you don't have knowledge. But we're in an economy where people don't value those who have knowledge. As a matter of fact, if you have knowledge, they feel they should have it for free. Because they don't understand how knowledge as information has a way of helping you in application. And application is where there's problem solving. I will bet you that if you ask Mr. Bad Table today, in all sincerity, he will tell you that most of the things he has done is not from a basis of him knowing the thing already. It is from a basis of him having the belief that he can figure that thing out. And then he has worked his way, slept late, woken up early, put his mind until he was able to create something which was not there.
I can remember there was a day we had to do a job, and I said, are you sure we can do this? He said, Mimi, it's not easier. I said, okay, then let us just tell the boss that we cannot do it. He said, no, we cannot give that feedback to the boss. We have to try to see how to do it. And behold, he did it. He had never done it before. I'm just complimenting what you're saying because we are talking practical.
I can figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, what school has stolen from us, and sometimes I've been tempted to say a good number of the churches have stolen that ability. You see, Christ's focus was not religion. Christ's focus was, religion is supposed to help you to become conscious of who you are spiritually. And that person is one now who has the ability to say, hey, this thing, I'm going to figure it out. The biggest gift any lecturer, I always tell my students, the biggest gift you can give somebody is the ability, the self-confidence, the self-efficacy to figure something out.
Yeah, but now we have been talking about our schools, and you have also been mentioning the exam economy. I will be coming back to you to see how we can integrate that economy. But before we get to that, I want to find out from Tibu, because each time when we have this graduation, or some will call it commencement ceremonies, we have the officials saying that these students, or to be graduates, they have been found worthy in character and in learning, which means that they have the right competences. And now it beats my imagination when the right competences are there, but these graduates cannot still find related job opportunities. Why do you think that?
I think there's something which we have to understand. Most of our graduates are not employable. They are not. They are not. They are not.
That's a little bit harsh.
That's the reality. They are not employable. I have been privileged to talk to a lot of employers over the years, and employability. When they talk of employability, they're talking about your ability to possess the skills that can enable you to work and make a difference at the workplace. But we live in an environment. First of all, our educational system is an inherited educational system from the colonialists, which was basically meant to teach us how to speak English, and that's it. That's all. That's why technical school was not prioritized, grammar school was prioritized. And if you do first degree in chemistry, you are nothing but somebody who can just speak English in the street. You cannot do anything. First degree in chemistry, you cannot do anything in the chemistry world. First degree in geography, you can do nothing in geography world. First degree in history, you can do nothing. So apart from speaking English, that's all. So
and teaching what you have learned.
And teaching, and you're not even a good teacher, because there are people who have done pedagogy in teaching for geography, pedagogy in teaching for history. So it's kind of complex. But at the same time, we don't understand this. We still live in a society where somebody who does, say, first degree in law goes around the street and they are calling him in the quarter the law. And this is where I have a problem. There is a big difference between being a graduate and being a professional. Okay. That you have a degree in journalism from a university does not make you a journalist. Those are two different things. That you have a degree in history, you're not a historian. You are a historian. They call you a historian after you must have exercised the skills and put in the work and have the expertise and competence either in research, either you have come up with some new historical facts. That is when you can be called a historian. So you are a master in that subject. You know what you know what to do when it comes to that field. It doesn't suffice that you've learned from the university and obtained that certificate, because most of the people who leave these institutions, to be honest with you, the regulations, they are too weak. The how they graduate is questionable. The certificates they have can be challenged. They cannot defend it, and as a result, people who want to employ, they keep crying that I need skills. I don't have Cameroonian skills.
I don't need certificates. I need
skills. What can you do? What can you bring? What can you bring to the table? What can you offer? Mm-hmm. And the few people who make those who bother to put extra mile to invest in gaining skills, they don't actually learn what to do, whether it's working for somebody or creating something on themselves, because there will always be those opportunities. But if you are comfortable with, because how many people are, like Abine rightly put it earlier, how many people are graduating every day or every year from our countless universities? Boya has 54 universities. 54 universities in there. So how many people graduate from these universities? I mean private and of course government.
Yeah.
How many people graduate from these universities every year? What are they doing? We cannot, basically in Boya, if you don't teach, there's nothing else you can do. There's no industry here. There's no pharmaceutical company that you say you go and become a chemist and apply there. There's no a petrochemical company here. There's nothing. You can either teach or work in the government. So it's finished. But you must look at the extra skills you have so that you can have added value to yourself. Mm-hmm. So that even if you have a degree in history, you can do designing. If you have a degree in history, you can do photography. If you have a degree in history, you can. There are a lot of other things. You can write a good news article and pitch to international media, and then they get you paid. There are people who live in their houses and just write for international media. They do not do journalism in the university. They sit in their houses, pitch stories to international media like Reuters, BBC, and they pay them $12,000 for one story, $6,000 for one story. You take 2 months and do. It is every day. It depends on the good. You can pitch a story on, say, The rampant phenomenon of eating dog meat in Boya. That's a story that has international ramification, because in some countries they consider dogs like human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
In Cameroon, so there are a lot of things you can do, but what you cannot afford to do is to be comfortable with what they told you in your school. That is who you are.
You cannot be comfortable with what you were told in your school, so you need extra you need to stretch. Let us stretch a little more to be able to have the abilities which are needed,
Of course.
which are needed by the job market. And it keeps I keep wondering, because we say we are in a changing world, the economy is changing, the world is changing rapidly, but the things we continue to learn in our schools are the same things we learned 30 years ago.
Exactly.
In the same way.
In the same way.
So I don't know, Abine, if there is something you have to say about this, because all the is it Maslow hierarchy of needs, all the theories we used to learn in secondary schools, they are still there, no changes.
And let me just say something maybe before I really go. You know, you've mentioned like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As I said, it's also the way it is taught. Because the truth is that when I got more into coaching on business and all of that, I now began to understand the Maslow's hierarchy of needs better on my own. Because I came to discover that, for example, the business I do, the truth is that if somebody has not taken care of the lower rungs of Maslow's hierarchy, the person will not be interested in your business. It has to do with their self-esteem, for example. So because I'm looking at Maslow's hierarchy in terms of application inside business, it gives me a different feeling towards Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
Just to say that, so even if we want to teach the same things which have been there for a really long time, what we can do is that we can teach it in a way that makes it interesting. That's why when Mr. Mbatebo was talking, I was looking and said, oh, some people don't know that now when you go to write a good story, the difference that you make, considering you have the basics in history, for example, is that the way you look at the dog story will be completely different.
Of course.
The way you look at it as a law person, but now you must look at those skills that are relevant in our context of today. You see, which means it is almost like doing the same thing, but doing it in a different way. Someone said that school gives you just 5% of what you need in the real world. Just 5%. The other 95%,
you have to work
to hustle for it. Now the problem, Mr. Mbatebo, Madam Mirabel, is that we are in a country where corruption is a lifestyle. And so people now don't have any of those extra things. They think that they are good to go.
True.
And they are only lucky that it's only as long as corruption continues in Cameroon. Without that, if you go to a country where it is merit-based, there are certain things. You know, when some people come and say, oh, I want to learn public speaking, and you give them a bill and they are surprised. I'm like, do you know what you're talking about? Do you know what public speaking means in certain contexts? You know, but they will not respect it because they feel that it is just, you know, in our country, you don't even need to, you just need to have the certificate, right? So I'm coming to pay just for this certificate. But if somebody truly has to give you a skill that you can take and go and replicate, the person has to do good work because the person has to know you. I told somebody I have 270 students, I know everybody by at least 2 names.
Wow.
Everybody. Why? Because you cannot penetrate somebody's intellectual cycle without penetrating their social cycle. You cannot really try to inspire somebody intellectually without knowing who they are, at least knowing their name, if possible knowing where they live. That's why in the Western world, and in even some schools, even in Cameroon, they make sure that the student-teacher ratio is small. It's not necessarily because the one day in class you should be teaching. It's because you have to know each person, because when you get to know them, you can inspire them. So about this our school system, I'm one of the person who has been saying that they need to put things like personal development within the curriculum. Now, Mr. Mbatebo ended by saying that you should not go and be doing what you were told that you are. Because when you are doing something that you were told that you are, first of all, the level of conviction is very low.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
It's not my thing.
It's what
you don't
I was
feel
told.
A sense of ownership. It's just like when you're running a business. It's about Mbatebo's business now. If you employ somebody, or when you employ somebody, and the person doesn't come and shows a sense of ownership, like it or not, it will hurt you like crazy. But the person doesn't show that sense of ownership because the person has not bought the vision.
Sure.
Just like if you don't buy your own vision, there's no way you're going to excel. So if these people who don't have these competencies, who don't have these skills, right, have to excel, it means they must go beyond the average thing, which means they must have the passion now to go and work beyond ordinary. For them to have that passion, they must know who they are. For them to know who they are, they must discover their purpose. For them to know their purpose, they have to be taught. Because you can be taught, you can be given. I have things as a coach. I have things I can tell. Okay, if you want to know whether you're purpose driven, you have 1, 2, I have 10 of them. That if you tick all the boxes, then you can know that you are purpose driven. You see that? So if we have to change, because if you want to destroy a nation, as I think Mandela said, you destroy the educational system. And we begin to create entitlement people. They just want to have jobs, they don't want to do the work. They don't want to have any skill, but they want to get the returns. Yeah, it's about the certificate. Once I have my certificate and I go to the office and I cross my leg and I crack a goosey and I sell my personal things, I'm good to go. It happens in Cameroon. I'm sure you've seen it in public service. So we need to get the experts, get those who understand. And in our curriculum, I'm very serious about it. I've seen the consequence of people who don't have purpose. If the leader is somebody who doesn't have purpose, trust me, that country is gone. That office is gone. That business is gone. Because purpose-driven men, first of all, they have a lot of discipline. Why? Because a purpose-driven person has a vision. Someone who has a vision can discipline themselves. Proverbs 29 verse 18 is very clear. Solomon said it. If you don't have a vision, what you do is that you spend all of your time jumping around. That's why some people, when they have small money, you see the way they behave. You need to shake like this because they don't have a vision. Otherwise, if you have a vision and you've written down your vision, as Habakkuk 2 verse 2 says, then even 100 million will not shake you. If you plan in what I know you have in your mind, even though we've never spoken about it, the businesses you have in your mind, if they give you 100 million, I have to build all the infrastructure necessary for that business. What's 100 million? It will not be, you will not panic. But if I don't have any vision, even to own a 2-bedroom house, 100 million.
Yeah, you'll be confused.
Right? So we need to bring personal development into our curriculum and make sure that by the time kids are finishing from 1, from 2, they should really understand what it means to say, okay, 10 years from today, and be able to look at that and then put steps and building blocks so they can come back to evaluate. That's what I was saying, set SMARTA goals, not even SMART anymore. SMARTA goals. Okay. So that you can come at the end, the E, to evaluate. It's not just specific, it's not just measurable, it's not just attainable, it's not just realistic, it's not just time bound. But you can evaluate and you can review. Or you can reward yourself at the end of it.
That's
so we
beautiful.
need to be able to have that kind of curriculum where by the time people leave from 1 and 2, by the time they get to Form 3, they know what they're able to do. And why not take it to the primary school?
And now I want to stay with you so that we had to go back to the exam economy or mentality you talked about. What can be done to see that this mentality is being can we really say wiped out?
Or at least really mitigated to a reasonable degree. To me, one of the main issues is the way evaluation and grading is done.
Okay.
If you take everything and put in an exam, you know some of your schools, I will not call names, where we stay in the house, we don't go to school, and they'll come and write the exam.
Yeah.
And what is stated in that exam? Your memory.
Yeah.
And the memory of the human being. I got very interested in the mind. I had to go and study the mind. The memory of the human being is the lowest level of operation of a human being. Even dogs can memorize. Ivan Pavlov, he proved that through an experiment. You know, he tested dogs for 2 weeks. As he was giving them food, he was ringing the bell. Giving them food, he was ringing the bell. At some point, no food, but when they rang the bell, the dogs salivated. Why? Because they had memorized and they could link the ringing of the bell and food. Which means that even a dog, even a pig, can memorize. And I don't want to sound harsh, but the truth is that if it's only your memory that you're using, you're almost not existing. Our school tests just memory in the exam. Yes, they say practical sometimes, but even the practical is very... So we have to go back to our evaluation system and even the grading system, because the aspect of marks sometimes makes people hang because of marks. People commit suicide because of marks. You know, because the evaluation system only comes to test somebody's ability to come and write. Some people are not good at writing. Dr. Howard Gardner proved that through his multiple intelligences. He ended even at 7. Some people have added about 11. Existential and all of that, which means if we are testing everybody only on the ability to memorize, it's already a flaw with our system. Which means we have to go back to our system and say, how do we design the evaluation system to take people away from just focusing only on the products, so that you can build them within the process, instead of telling people that, wow, you have 100, wonderful. I say, wow, how did you study? How did you study
the process
what
of arriving at the
what
100
strategies did you use?
Good.
You get that? So that we need to redesign our evaluation system in a way that before the exam you already know where you are. Because if we focus only on the exam, I saw about 14 of my students who have never, some have come to class 2 times in the 11 classes we had. I saw they have never come to class. they came to write exam. So they came to write exam. And then in all sincerity, it's the exam is on 20 out of 100. And so what were they coming to do? But they have been taken hostage by the exam mentality. So to change the exam mentality, we need to go back and look at the evaluation system in particular, and to a degree, the grading system. Let's take our children away from marks. Let's show them their true potential, and let's show them that it's unlimited. If we do that, we'll be fine.
Thank you so much. If you are just joining us, we are looking at why unemployment in Cameroon. Is it as a result of lack of competence or as a result of lack of opportunities? And there is this school of thought which says that the government cannot employ everybody. We have to create jobs for ourselves. Now, I want us to look at the practicalities. Mbatebo, is it everybody who is competent who is able to create a job?
Definitely not. I think that whether we like it or not, in as much as people have different skills, people have different talents, people, some people are good at managing businesses, some people are not good at managing businesses at different skills. But when you talk about creating a job, the enabling environment first of all has to be there. The enabling environment means the ability to easily get permit, the tax system, and the viability of the economy, and added to the fact that you have to have that personal purpose and be business driven to run that business. We cannot say we cannot just sit and say that businesses or everybody can run a business, everybody can run. If that were the case, we can say everybody will be a billionaire. The truth is that some people are more resilient, some people are more business oriented, while other people are exceptional in just working for another person. You know, those are the and you must identify what's your strength.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that because you hear that because Coach Abina is saying that, oh, identify what you have in you can be the next Bill Gates, and deep in you understand that you don't have that resilience, you don't have that the necessary mindset, the skills to run a business, and you start venturing in what will be a death on arrival mission. But at the same time, I think that it is very important that we as individuals we have different skills that we can implement them in different ways. Which is not necessarily working for somebody, which is not necessarily you can be in partnership with another person, you can run a business as a sole proprietor, and of course you can also contribute as an employee. But the most important thing at the end of the day is that you must be relevant in terms of contributing to the growth of whether the society or the country, and uplifting yourself in what you do through or from the skills you've acquired over the years.
Thank you so much. We also want to look at, like the two of you mentioned earlier, we have a whole lot of universities only in Buea. We are not talking about other parts of Cameroon. And these universities, we take for example, those in the health care who provide training in the health care department, especially the nurses, because we graduate nurses, hundreds, thousands of nurses every year, and these nurses, what becomes of them? They're in the streets, you know. So the question now is, do we think that because some people will say there are so many opportunities out there, but do we have these available opportunities to be able to accommodate the competent people we send out from our schools, Mr. Ayer?
Interestingly, except for we're going to lie to ourselves, a lot of people do this because they want to fall bush. That's the truth. But you know, it's almost like when you're in school, there is this feeling that when you finish school, you just have a job. Like there is this sincere feeling that there's a sense of security, even when you're not in something that's entrepreneurial, like you don't have the ability to solve a problem, but you just feel like you're just going to have a job. So there is this sense of hope that people have. Oh, now to the pay for the way for outside. Hey, you do your head case. But they don't land so siam. Mami, God don't better break. God don't better break. So people go into it with this desire of like, okay, very soon I'll go abroad, and they pay health workers very high and all of that. So that's where the issue is. And if we had the kind of leadership that we needed to have, they could have already seen us moving in that direction, and either design systems now that will help to accommodate these people, or find a way to divert their attention. That's what people do. That's what educational systems do. If we're smart, we could have invested so much money in engineering, agricultural engineering.
And when you come for nursing, the
We
tilt
find a
towards
way.
engineering.
As a matter of fact, we could have invested money now and look for Mbatebo, look for Abine, look for Madame Mirabewa and Boya, and begin to get them to organize seminars to adjust the mindset already. And say, this is where Cameroon is going. This is how Boya is supposed to be. This is what we want to see. This is who you should be in order to fit into this context. Show them the vision. That's when people don't have vision. They lose restraint, like we are seeing today. So the truth is that I don't, in my own opinion, and you see a lot of them around, in all sincerity, a good number have no idea what's going on. A good number have no idea what health is about. A good number don't even know that they are having put lives in their hands. You hear their conversations, and sometimes you sit and you shiver. You go to the hospitals and you see the way somebody is talking to a pregnant woman, and you know that if you shout, it doesn't change anything. They might instead hurt the woman. You just have to stay quiet and only watch. But in all sincerity, like, how does somebody treat a pregnant woman like this? And then you begin to see that we are just in a place where people are trying to run away. Things are so rough that they want to find a way to nyongo. And so, Madam Rabbit, to be sincere, what you see out there, the number that is graduating is because they're finding a way, they're looking for the easiest way to nyongo, because according to them, there are so many opportunities out there. As somebody said, be careful. Don't be a snail in Cameroon and assume that you will land somewhere out of Cameroon and automatically become a leopard. Bam! And you're running. Be careful. That's not really how it works.
That's not how it works. Let us take some contributions coming in. We have Mr. Fosu Luke down at Malingo, says that lack of opportunities is what causes unemployment in Cameroon. Thank you, Mr. Luke. We have this other message from Claudia. Claudia says it's lack of competence, which results to lack of unemployment. And Rose in Tico says that insufferable job opportunities, my humble opinion. Rose, thank you for sharing with us your humble opinion. So those are the contributions that we have on the program. Now let us quickly look at how we can mitigate this lack of competence. How can we help our young people out there, especially the graduates? Because what the employers are saying, that you're not, like you said, you're not competent. I need someone who can do the job. I don't need someone who can show me the certificate. Someone who can do the job. Practical.
I think it is. This issue of skills is not, I don't think it's peculiar to Cameroon. Everywhere in the world, people are constantly learning to fit into their society, like Abine rightly said, because we live in an ever-changing world. Today, nursing might be the most attractive profession. Tomorrow will be, yesterday was accounting, today is the next day IT. So it keeps changing. I think that first thing we need to do is that we need the right orientation, and we have to embrace vocational training. I think it is crucial for our survival. If you see countries like Japan, South Korea, it's vocational training, because with vocational training, short programs are designed with just the right skills that you need. You need skills in this, you get it 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. That is why your certification programs are the most expensive programs you have.
Yeah, very short courses. 1 month, 3 months, you spend 6 months. Very expensive.
Very expensive. Because you have to identify what you really need based on where you are going to. Again, assuming that you have been coached, you've been well counseled, and you know where you are heading to, and you have to embrace vocational training, because this is where you need to get the skills to survive. Because without the skills, there's nothing really you can do, whether it's private business or to work. You need to have the right skills. So with vocational training, they have specialized programs which have been tailored. You can get these things online. You can get them from schools around. You can get them from the quarter, wherever they are being offered. But you get is it typing skills? You can get them. What do you think you are lacking? Is it to type? Is it to design? Is it to whatever skills that you need. Is it public speaking?
Yeah.
I've been in the organizing these seminars all over the place. So when you identify what you want based on the passion you have, because when you've left the university and you've sat in the house for 1 or 2 years without a job, you begin to identify your purpose. You begin to understand that reality hits you. I start understanding that no, at this point in time, this is what I want, this is what I like, this is what I need. So you are faced with reality, and you can now make informed decision. You can say, oh, now for me to move forward, this is what I need. I need to get these skills. How do I get the skills? How do I look for the one that I'll spend less and still get the best result in order to move forward? So I think vocational training is a major solution out there to help us in this crisis.
Okay, thank you so much. And in effect, which means that we have to embrace change.
Of course,
change is something which we must all embrace, because what you learned in school is not what maybe you will have to exercise in the field. So we should be able to be ready at all times to embrace change. Now, Mr. Aya, I want you to tell us. I want a take-home message as we round up with the program, and we have 3 categories of persons I would like us to talk to. First of all, I would like us to talk to those who are not competent. I would secondly like us to talk to those who are competent but do not have the job opportunity. And lastly, let us talk to those who are competent, they have the opportunity, but they do not make use of it.
Okay, well, I think for the last group, it's one of the things which I'm very passionate about. As Mr. Tebo was explaining over there, you know, no matter whether it's online or on-site, what would drive the results at the end of the day is the attitude that you give to it. That's the person who is a learner. Yeah. So it's about the person who doesn't have competence, who doesn't have opportunities. It's about you now, digging through. It's about you taking full responsibility. Sometimes when I coach people, I always tell them this. I say, be careful. Most people, just like when people go and they say man of God, they expect the man of God to touch them now and for things to happen in their lives. You see, whereas even no matter if the man of God touches you and there is money at Bongo Square, for example, in Boya, and you don't go to Bongo Square, you never get that money. Yeah. There is a need to take action. Just as they say, don't just ask, as the Bible says in Matthew 7:7. Don't just ask, seek. Go out there, take action. And then sometimes it's behind an obstacle, it's behind a door. You have to knock. If I have to break the door to get it. So they have to take full responsibility. And they should know that nobody can do that for them. That's why when we talk about those who have competence but don't have the opportunities, they have to create it. They have to create. They have to find a way. The one thing I got to learn is that, as somebody said, nobody's going to save you. Nobody is going to save you. You have to find the way, to either get extra skills that will permit you, to stand out from other people. Because you might have the competence, but if you check, there might be an extra skill, maybe tech skills. You are not able to get on the web or the social media space and make something for yourself. Yeah. Right? There's some people that I met someone and I told him that what you have, the experience you have, if you try to monetize it, you will sell in ways that you cannot imagine. And you just be selling, you know that you are selling because you have so many, because he has all the technical ability. You see that? So you have the competence, but you might not just have now the required set of skill that will permit you now to stand out there for people to see you as relevant. Right? For those who have opportunities and those who have opportunities but they are not competent, I think that's the last group.
They have the opportunities and they are competent, but they don't want to make use of it.
Oh, okay. Sometimes they used to say also where because at this point, as I mentioned earlier, in one of my books, that's what I talk about. And because I too, I was very average. But people looking at me as if I was wonderful, but I was very average. I didn't know that you could decide that this is what I want. These are the things I want in my life. And again, sometimes it don't happen immediately, but you have to design a strategy. Right. That's why sometimes people say, they will say coach, they think it's easy, because coaching is about giving people structure. If it's a business, somebody just thinks that business is just to talk. There is a way that as a business person you talk. There's a way as a business person you operate. There's a way as a business person, there are certain systems you have to put inside your business that if you don't have, you might just be doing fine boy in the quarter, nice man, but you'll never be able to run a business. So if you are struggling at that point, what I could tell you is that you have to go now into your life and begin to design systems. I'll not be able to explain that. It will take the whole day.
Yeah, we have just 2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes. So
to
go
shut
into
down.
your life, design systems, structures, and throw your eye 5 or 10 years ahead of you, and then find a way and what you do in order to get there. And I think you'll be fine.
Thank you so much for those wonderful contributions. But your last words as we leave?
I think this is very important. I think as young people or as Cameroonians, it's important that we should have an open mind to embrace new skills and to always make the maximum of the opportunities that are presented to us, especially for those who have the opportunities. And we should always understand that as humans, it's just but normal that we have to keep learning every day. There's nothing wrong, even if you don't need the skills now to learn it, you might need it in future. Even if you don't need it in future, it doesn't kill you.
Yeah.
So the more the skills, the better the opportunities. So a more skilled individual has more opportunities than a less skilled individual. So I think that as much as possible, during our free time, whether we are working or we are not, we should always try as much as we can to empower ourselves by learning new skills. We can make a map, or we can make a plan and say, okay, each month we learn one skill, each month or after 6 months we are sure that we must have learned one skill. In that case, I'm very certain that after some time, no matter what is the situation, whether the country is going up or going down, you definitely will be better.
You will definitely move along with the country. Going up or going down will definitely work along with the country. Thank you all, Ayabine and Mbatebo, for making this program successful this evening. And we say thanks to our technicians and thank you to all of you who sent in their contributions, and to those who watched and learned something. We say thank you. A rebroadcast of this program comes up on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. and take another rendezvous with us next week, Friday at 5 p.m. same channel. Until then, stay blessed. I have been Fomucha Mirabel. Bye-bye.